Hello and welcome back to Swords and Sapphics. I'm Rachel,
I'm Ivy.
and this is the podcast all about queerness, femininity, and it may include sharp objects. Shall we talk about what we've been watching this week?
I've been watching one show, and it's Station 19. And I finished it. It's a spin-off from Grey's Anatomy. I cannot pronounce it. Do I say it right?
Yeah, Anatomy.
Yeah, it's everything to me. I fell in love with the show so quickly. It's amazing. It really it's incredibly inclusive. Like incredibly inclusive. And I was very shocked, and it was so easy, and nothing felt like they were trying too hard. And I have a sapphic couple, and they're everything to me, and I'm very happy. It makes me very happy. Yes.
And this begins my campaign to get Ivy to watch Grey's, and I think I might have won.
Yeah, I'm getting ready a little bit. Like now I need a break because I had a lot of feels during Station 19. It was every episode I cried, and that's like 5 seasons. So now I need to like relax a little bit for a few days. And also I'm mentally preparing myself for like 30 seasons. How many of it is?
Yeah,
it is. So it's gonna be a lot, but I also need more of these characters because they keep going to Grey's, and characters from Grey's are in Station, and I just want my babies back. So yeah.
And you must get them. And you'll find new babies. George O'Malley, first of all. Izzy Stevens, second of all. Christina.
Sure,
Christina Yang. Sandra Oh's character is unmatched in Grey's Anatomy. I think you'll love her a lot.
Ready for her. Yeah. I'm ready for her, yes.
She rides a motorbike to work.
Now we're talking. What have you been watching?
The same as ever. I'm still on Grey's, of course I am. I'm like nearing the end of season 3, I think. And I'm still watching Ted Lasso. I'm very slow. Ivy comes back with a new show to talk about every week. I stick on one for many months because my brain doesn't work that fast.
But it's not really about like it's not really about that. It's just because I need to watch something as I work. So like it's 8 hours of me constantly watching something. So today I finished an audiobook and listened to a podcast. So there is I don't think there is even like a possibility to be as quick as I am right now with watching stuff. Yeah.
But I can start Heartstopper soon because I finally read the first volume. Everybody praise me.
I won.
She won,
Finally.
For months and months. Every
years
time.
Even. I read it like 2 years ago, and since then I tried to. My campaign for this started slow. And with the show, I really put all my soul and my strength into it, and finally I won.
She won. It was very soft and cute. I did like it a lot. It like people have criticized it for being cringy, and it is, but like let us be cringy. Queer people rarely have a cute teen fiction romance like that, so I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the second one. Yeah. I also found it weird how like the comics look like the characters in the show because like they were made before the show.
I know, that's exactly like the cast is absolutely perfect. Every single of the characters are cast just perfectly. They're like literally just jumping out of the page. And there are even like scenes in the show that is just you can put the box of the comic book next to it and it's just the same thing, just colorized. It's really good.
I finished Ignite Me by Tahira Mafi, which is a young adult dystopian thing, very much like in the same realm as Divergent. And I wouldn't say Hunger Games. I don't think it deserves that. I'm sorry. It's just not like the same. It's just not. I'm sorry. It was, considering that was supposed to be the end of the series, it felt very lazy to me. But like, I get that it's for young adults. I'm not like the main audience, but it's not my favorite. I had some issues, but it was fun. Warner is wonderful. I'm gonna carry on. But
Good.
I also read Peaches and Honey by Imogenmacwell Tweed, which is a delightful queer romance. It's two men. There's lots of baking involved. There's like, it's a bit Sunshine and Grump type. The neighbors, and it's just really sweet and fun to get away. It's very summery. Yeah, Imogenmacwell Tweed always writes the best queer characters, and I must say, if you're looking for cozy queer stories with very little conflict, you must read Imogenmacwell Tweed.
Yes, I read. What was it that you made me read? You see, I read things you recommend me. I read
Bus Ticket Baby.
Yes, which was like around Christmas, and she was pregnant on a bus, and she met this guy, and it made me cry.
Yeah,
yes.
There was fake
was
dating
really
in
beautiful.
there. She was like going home to a family pregnant and alone, and he didn't want to go home to his family alone, so they fake dated, and of course it was just like a beautiful romance.
It's really beautiful.
I don't usually go for books with pregnancy involved, but when it's done that way, it was actually really nice, and I kind of want more like that. Like when they're already pregnant and it's not just used as a plot device.
There's just something incredibly special when it's not just the person the other one chooses, but the person, their baby or their child. It's just that's something so precious to me.
Yeah.
And I love that trope so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good news for you is that I have that trope in my second book. Just to plug myself. Come in 2023 with Embla.
Yes.
There is that trope.
Yes. And yeah, it's amazing. And I love it. And you should all read it in your oh my god, I feel extremely special that I get to read it and nobody even knows it exists, basically.
I know. What have you been reading?
I started For the Throne by Hannah Witten, which is a second book after For the Wolf. And it's about like two sisters. One is for the throne, one is for the wolf, as a sort of a sacrifice to the woods. And now on the second book, and I really enjoy it. It's sort of like that's a perfect read for like autumn when it's raining and it's cold and it's dark. It's very vibey. It's in the woods, especially the first one. And I really love it. Yeah. So that's what I'm reading currently. Then today I finished an audiobook of Steel's Edge by Elena Andrews, which is the fourth and last book in the Edge series. I didn't enjoy that one much. It's Elena Andrews, it's like they're a couple and they write urban fantasy, like Kate Daniels, their most famous one, and I really love everything they give me. But this series I didn't felt this much. So and I really adore their audiobooks because they use this now two narrators and I adore them so very much, and it just makes it a whole new experience than just reading the book with eyes. But this one was just that didn't cut me. So after many moons, I came back to it and I finished it today. Yeah. And then I read a comic book, which is comic book Fortnite and Marvel is making a comic books. The third one is out in Czech now, so I bought it and I read it. It was amazing. these comic books are very fun to read. And I recommend reading comic books because they are overall very fun to read.
Yeah, I'm still very new to the comic book world. I did it for Bucky. I got the 2 Marvel comics for Bucky, Captain America Winter Soldier and Just Winter Soldier. And now I just feel robbed because I got Bucky and Natasha, or Black Widow and the Winter Soldier in the comic books, and they don't exist in the MCU. And it's very sad.
That was, yeah. I haven't read any of these comic books, but I knew they were a thing. I just didn't know how special bond they had, and
They do.
And we missed something great and beautiful, sadly.
Yeah. They met when like Bucky was still the Winter Soldier and Natasha was still working as like the spy in like the 50s in the Red Room, and he like trained her and stuff. And it just could have been so fucking good, and I was just robbed. I also read These Violent Nights by Rebecca Cronendone, who is an indie author as well. It's a sci-fi fantasy type thing. There's a queer couple in it, 2 men. There's 2 really good romances in it. One's like a marriage of convenience, and the other is like an enemies to lovers stuck together thing. It's really great world building, and I would definitely recommend it. Anything else new with you?
Actually, yes. I downloaded a new game for my Nintendo. It's called Strange Horticulture. And it's sort of this again, it has sort of this witchy vibes, and it's basically like you own a store with plants, and people are coming in and you're giving them like the correct plants, and there are puzzles, and it's sort of like a mystery thing where you have to solve something. I played for like 15 minutes today, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm very excited to get back to it. And other than that, I just play Fortnite with you.
Yeah.
Fortnite is life, sadly.
It is. I kind of fluctuate between games because I started out with Skyrim, and then I realized I actually really enjoy gaming, which I never did before. So I got like The Witcher and Assassin's Creed. So every weekend I kind of just fluctuate between whatever I'm in the mood for. And it's great because they all have different vibes, but like the same level of like entertainment. So it depends what I'm in the mood for. But I also downloaded Strange Horticulture for Ivy, and we'll see how it goes. Yay. I feel like I abandon cozy games because, like with Animal Crossing, I end up abandoning them because I get sucked into like the really intense ones.
Yeah, same. For me, it's I usually play the comfort games, and where you don't have to really think much when I'm listening to audiobooks or when I'm watching something, and I don't want to. And every time I watch something, I have to do something. So now, currently, I'm playing Sims and Solitaire when I watch stuff, but it really changes for me what I play when I watch something or listen to an audiobook. And because I haven't been listening to audiobooks lately, I haven't been playing Animal Crossing much. But I'm quite excited to go back to like the cozy games. Mostly because when we play Fortnite, I get emotional, one could say. Let's put it that way.
Fortnite has this whole Dragon Ball feature going on at the minute, and it's quite stressful. Because people can just take you out with this like one beam of light, and then the game is over, and I hate that. I want to shoot them. I don't want to.
I hear the sound, and I just have physical reaction to it at this point.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but we have a lot of games we haven't tried. If anybody has any multiplayer games that they can think of, that would be great, because we always get stuck on Fortnite.
Yeah. For Nintendo, by the way, we need something for Nintendo as something we can play without being next to each other, considering we have quite a lot of space in between us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying to find something new where I don't want to smash my controller. So let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, today is Friday, so a new episode of Trying is out. And
That's
we're gonna be
correct.
watching that tonight.
Yeah. But by the time this comes out, it will be weeks in the future.
And we
So
will be
it won't be relevant
yes,
anymore.
that's true. The season finale will be out. So take it as a reminder to watch Trying. We will
Yeah.
have a complete 3 seasons.
And while we have Apple TV, we must continue watching things from that.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Surface.
Yes. And I'm thinking of the one with Vera something.
Oh yeah, Farmiga.
Yeah. Yeah.
5 days at Memorial, I think, or something like that.
Yes. As for the memorial. Yeah.
Yes, let's do that.
Yes, let's.
Anyway, what are we talking about in this week's episode? We thought we would talk about the community of like book Twitter versus author Twitter, because we're both in both, really. Like, as an author, I see a lot of goings on in book Twitter, and Ivy is primarily a reader who sees a lot of things in reading Twitter. And
on that and BookTok, there's like TikTok, there's a lot of stuff going on there too. Very different ones, but still bad. Still bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. It's really hard to be an author on Twitter at the minute. So what spurred it was that this week someone posted a screenshot of Ali Hazelwood, who writes The Love Hypothesis, and her newest one is
Love on the Brain.
Love on the Brain. She was marketing a book with this style that everyone's doing at the minute, where like you post arrows into your book and list the little tropes and things you can expect to find in it. So
there was something like about, there was this one pining, and in the thingies, well, how do you call them?
In brackets.
Yeah, there was, oh my god, pining in the capital letters.
It was kind of like a doodle in a notebook. And obviously, a lot of times publishers do that anyway. As far as I know, like that could have very much been a publisher or marketer who made that graphic. But a lot of authors have been doing it anyway. It's become a trend in the last few months because it's helpful. Like when you scroll past a picture of someone marketing your book, it's not just a cover or anything. It's a quick and easy way to see the best parts of a book, and especially in the romance genre, you like to know what you're getting into without much detail.
And also for years now, I've seen like on Instagram, people who review books do the same thing.
Yeah,
and that's honestly for years. And it's very easy also because today you want to know everything very quickly and scroll through, and this is something that will immediately tell you what it's about. And it's fun. It's fun. It's just fun, period.
Yeah. Because sometimes you are just in the mood for like enemies to lovers, or like opposites attract, or marriage of convenience, or whatever it might be. And then that just shows you really quickly what you're going to get, what trope you're going to get, like what dynamic you're gonna get. And like that's because romance is such a vast genre, but you can always guarantee that there'll be one of those tropes in. And it's just a really quick, easy way to find that out. But someone on book Twitter screenshotted that, and they said, I can't believe she's marketing it like this, it's so cringe, it makes me cringe, or something like that. And it was ridiculous, but also part of a bigger problem. Because first of all, is it cringe, or is she just marketing a book? It's really fucking hard out here. Like, she might be a bestseller, but I bet she's trying just as hard as everyone else not to like get overlooked or like, like lose her readership. It's really hard. Especially when fucking Colin Hoover's in like the top 5 all the time, which shouldn't even be in the same category as Ali Hazelwood, because hers are very much romance dramas. Like, they don't belong in the same bracket, first of all. And then, of course, like, it feels like readers are just, they have a problem with everything that authors do at the minute, it seems.
And it's not even like something actually problematic where the author is hurting people.
Yeah.
It's just because the way they do things, they say things, they market things, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting to be in it as a reader too, because you keep getting all these negative comments about books you love and you adore, and it's so hateful at the minute.
Yeah.
And it's been for a while on, especially on Twitter. Twitter just got really, really hateful with stuff. And even when it comes to artists, there are enormous shit wars, especially in the Sarah J. Maas fandom. And with Ezreal, there are like 2 potential love interests. And I know on Instagram, one artist did some art with Ezreal and Elaine, and the people of the other ship, they just spammed her with hate, and they, I believe, even like blocked her Instagram for a minute. It's getting really, really off the rails.
But like, obviously, a lot of authors do see that. Like someone like Sarah J. Maas might not, but that if they're attacking the artist as well, and it's just, it went viral, and I think a lot of the reason it went viral was because a lot of people were angry about how quickly people criticize authors. But it just makes you realize they don't really see us as people. Like, they don't really see authors as people, and they're just looking for a reason to criticize recently. Like, there has been a lot of valid criticisms recently because a lot of problematic shit has been happening. Like, someone released a reverse racism book, and apparently it had some really harmful things in it. And then there was the controversy with someone getting signed, but it was like whether it was a nepotism thing, and they were a industry plant. I don't even know what that means. But then, like, this is just a really harmful marketing tactic. She's not offending anybody, she's not hurting anybody, she's not got any prejudice in there. She just promoted her book, which is a pretty simple, like, romantic comedy. And
you said that it feels that authors are not being taken as actual people, and that really brings me to book talk. TikTok really started promoting a website that is really just pirating books. You have your books on it too. I'm not gonna say it. Do not go to it. Do not download shit.
No.
And for some reason, I just got this TikTok popped up on my For You page saying something along the lines, oh, when the authors are like wanting the book be out of this site, and now you cannot download it. And I responded, I got really upset because it was about days after this thing went on Twitter. And I said something along the lines, oh, it's like they want to be paid for the work they've done. And I got like actual people saying, oh, they're rich, I don't have money, like this won't hurt them. Like, yeah, actually, well, not the big authors, no, but indie writers, yes. And like it's like 5% of the authors are really rich, they can like live with it. Yeah, and a lot of people fought me on it for some reason. I got like and that TikTok particular got to like 10,000 of views and likes, which is just baffling to me. And I tried to like they kept telling me something like, oh, they just play that they don't have money and they keep getting being like a New York bestsellers and stuff. Like, actually, my wife is a writer. And that sort of shut one person up. That was fun. But it's just they feel this entitlement to receive books and stuff. It's something different if you're pirating like movies, which I just gonna be upset about. That's like that won't hurt any one of the studios that really don't care. Like anyway, but if you're like taking money from individuals, or if you're taking their work and not paying them for that work, that becomes a problem. And we cannot be shocked then if writers like you will stop writing, because like, what's the point?
It's really hard to want to write sometimes. Like, you go on Twitter and there is so much negativity. Either that or people are stealing your work. And it's a really difficult place to write. I remember when I was writing book 2 a few months ago, I just had to stop going on it because I was finding it difficult anyway. Like, you always have that imposter syndrome and that self-doubt. And then you'll go on and they'll be criticizing a trope, or they'll be like trying to cast out certain authors or styles of writing and things like that. And it is exhausting. Like, and now like it's something as little as like marketing your book like Ali Hazelwood did. It just seems to be getting the smaller problems blown way out of proportion, and you just can't really do anything at all. And they're focusing that energy on authors who are not doing harm when they should really be putting into authors who are, because a lot of the bestsellers in particular are the ones who have the most problematic content out there. But yeah, when I found that my books were on that piracy site, and it wasn't a nice feeling. My books are all pretty cheap. Like, I don't get paid an awful lot for them. I am still living at home. I have no fucking money. And people, I don't know how it would have even got there, because who cares enough about an indie author's book like mine to put them all on there? But I think the site originated as like for textbooks and stuff, which is understandable because students are broke and they shouldn't have to pay for the academic studies, like, and like things that they need to do that. But when you're an indie author, like, it's a lot of work. People can consume like a book that took you months and months to write in like 3 hours. And it's just very little payoff sometimes in this like line of work. And even when you think that this person is rich, like a bestseller, they're probably not, unless they've been a bestseller for a very long time, because the publishing industry at the minute is basically on its knees. It's terrible. Like, they split your advance payments up. It's rare that you get a 5-figure deal or a 6-figure book deal. And it's an awful lot of waiting to be paid for work that you did months ago. And like, as an author, you sign up for that. You have to, because it's not ideal, but you could get to where you want to be eventually. But when people are stealing your work, it just kind of becomes like, what's the point? Like, why am I putting in so much work and then it's that easy for someone to steal it?
It feels to me also that people don't really understand how advances and royalties work. Like, they think that you get the advances and on top of that you get the royalties from the day one, but no, that's not the case. Don't. And even I was surprised to find that out a few years ago, actually, from Victoria Aveyard, who, by the way, on her TikTok, she's really explaining a lot of these things, and she's really open with her privileges and explaining like really deep publishing stuff, so that's very interesting. And she really explained how royalties and advances, like how it's done and what's the difference. Which, for those who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong and remember it wrongly, but you get the advances and then the royalties after you sort of pay off those advances from your book sales.
Yeah.
And many authors won't even touch that number because you have to, like, that's thousands and thousands of books you have to sell to get there.
And all of that affects like how much you would be paid for your next book as well. So I got my first advance when I signed with my publisher last year. Between now and then, I've edited my first book to completion, and I have started structural edits on my second book after writing the entire thing. I didn't have a second book when I signed up. I had a first manuscript that needed a lot of editing, and I saw like that first advance, and then I only just recently got my second advance for completing the edits of my first book. And that took up the majority of my year. I had to slow down on freelance work and things because I was doing so much work for that, and I've not seen much back yet. And that's not a criticism of my publisher. That's how the publishing industry works. It's a criticism of the industry. It's not so much like even the quantity of how much you get paid. Like, I was never expecting to earn millions for my first books. As a new author, it's very rare that happens, but it's the way that they're done so that everything is majorly delayed. Like, you have set payments, and it's something like something about taxes, and I don't understand that anyway. And then you have to earn what you got in advances, and then you start getting royalties for it. So there's just no real like steady income for being an author, and a lot of people have to have a day job and then do that in the spare time, which is really exhausting as it is. I'm lucky that I have a freelance job that like I can slow down on, but that's also really impacted like my income. It's just not easy, lads. And like when I found out my books were being pirated, it was Pride Month, and all of my queer books were on sale for 99p. And like, that's a ridiculously low price, and it gets you very little royalties in return off Amazon. And it was just like, but not only that, but I actually give a lot of books, like I send a lot out to reviewers and readers. If someone says they want my book, I will send it to them. Like, I don't care if you don't pay for my book, but don't like steal it without telling me. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of Amazon, there are a lot of things concerning the audiobooks and ebooks, which again, not a lot of people know unless they really are in the community and learn things.
I'm not really sure how it works, but like if you download a book, you are able to return it in like a very lot after you've read it from front to back, first of all, which should be prevented because surely Amazon can track whether you've opened the book in Kindle. But after doing that, you can return it for up to like months on end. And then that can then cause, if an author is not getting other sales or it's like the transfer cost or something like that, that money can then be deducted from their account. So not only are you stealing their work, but you're also taking money from them. I think someone explained it that it's not really taking the money because it's just, I don't know, something about Amazon. I don't understand it. But you're still consuming a product and then taking it back. It's like eating your entire meal and then sending back an empty plate and expecting a refund. Like, you don't do it.
Yeah, because I know there was this big thing a few years back, the same thing with Amazon, because a lot of with Audible, which are audiobooks from Amazon, a lot of writers naturally got very upset because if you listen to an audiobook and you return it, again, there's the same thing. They have to pay for it back.
Yeah.
But I thought, and I'm not sure if it's still true or if I made it up in my head, but I do believe after there was a lot of backlash, after a lot of backlash, Amazon, I believe, changed their policy. So if you would return an audiobook, they wouldn't take money from an author.
I also have like a huge problem with big named authors who try to discourage people from shopping on Amazon. I understand that we need to shop at indie bookstores and stuff, but don't tell people not to shop at Amazon at all for books, because a lot of indie authors keep their work exclusive to Amazon because it means they get to enroll in KDP Select, which is Kindle Unlimited, which means you get to borrow books for free as long as you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. And Amazon is really the easiest and the most effective way of publishing your book as an indie author. It's where most people do buy their books at the minute. A bigger author or a bestseller telling their readers not to shop there, it won't impact them. But like, say if you're into like Hannah Witten, and then you find another book that's similar to that's indie on Amazon, that means that like that indie author isn't being seen anymore if you decide not to go there, if you decide to go to an indie bookshop. Because a lot of the times you'll find that indie bookshops don't carry actual indie authors. They'll carry big names because that's what gets them the sales. Or maybe they'll carry local authors. But there's such a wide and diverse span of indie authors on Amazon. It isn't really fair to detract from that because you get money either way, wherever you sell your book. A lot of people don't have that choice.
Also, even from the reader's point of view, that felt really sort of like sending you for a guilt trip for giving money to big corporations, because I'm an international reader. I live in Czech and I read in English, and it's difficult for me to get English books. I can get something in here, like in the physical stores, but mostly it's like big things that I read like years ago, and only now they're having it in stock, or it's just the same author that I'm not interested in. And if I want to order from a Czech website, the book is like, if I sell, like, usually a hardback would be 400 crowns. On these website, it would be for 700 crowns. So it's almost twice as much.
Yeah.
And that same goes if I want to order things from different country. It's the shipping, even from like Europe, can be twice as much as just the one book.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count the fact that the customs usually take those packages, and you have to pay another fee for the fact that you bought something out of the country. So it's really difficult, and Amazon really is the only like user friendly and buyer purchase friendly option right now here. Yeah. Because they after a certain amount of money you put of the purchase, you get free shipping, which comes through a delivery company that doesn't go through customs. So it's it's almost 3 times cheaper than if I were to order it from an actual other bookstore. And I get a lot of these things every single month. There are always someone saying purchase from like indie stores, and that's all nice and well, but it's not available option for everyone.
And it's like look, it's not always a convenient option, and in an ideal world we would go out of our way to shop indie, but it's not an ideal world. We're all struggling, and especially like you say, like international readers and things, it's not that easy to get your hands on a book that you want, especially not for an affordable price. You can criticize Amazon while still being aware that it actually does a lot for indie authors, and it is the best place to go, because there are places like Ingram Sparks that have had so many awful, like, authors have had a lot of awful experiences there. They charge a lot of money, like they take money from you, and Amazon is free to publish there. It's easy, and you get a decent amount of royalties in return as long as you set it for the price that's fair.
Which also you have to do a lot of marketing for, which is quite a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. But like, I somehow had one of my books in the top 100 ranks, and because of that, I didn't pay for any advertising on Amazon. I marketed as I always do, like on social media. I didn't pay for any outside marketing, but I ended up in the top 100 ranks for lesbian romance for Saving the Star. And because of that, I was on a sales streak for months and months. And like, I'd never get there anywhere else. I publish on Draft to Digital, which gives me like Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Apple, etc. And I've never had that amount of sales there. Like, this is where like the most regular income I have at the minute is my royalties from Amazon. And that's saying something. Like, do they need to change things? Yeah, obviously it's owned by fucking Egghead, whatever his name is. Jeff Bezos. Is that his name?
Yes.
But like, it like, for us, it really is like the best way. And if you're ignoring that as an author, then it just shows that you have that privilege of never having had to like publish it yourself or like organize your own marketing and distribution. And it's
I don't also feel like people understand how difficult marketing is. I'm a marketing specialist and I've studied media studies, and I get a lot of people really dismissing it as something like you choose because it's easy and simple and everybody can do it, but it's not true. And it's still like viewed by a lot of people as really like easy thing where you don't overwork yourself, but it can be really, really difficult. And I even have to explain it on my day-to-day basis at work. Like, why does this take me so many hours? Because there's so many difficult things that take such a long time. And, you know, and I'm trained like by other professionals, and a lot of writers are not. You don't take like classes for it. And you're just really trying your best. And it's really, really difficult. And it takes so much time.
Marketing is my least favorite part because, like, first of all, it's a lot of energy just to write a book. And then you have to, for me, like when I'm publishing independently, I have to make the cover, like I have to do all like formatting and all that. So by the time the book comes out, I'm exhausted. And then I have to market it. And it's a lot of time on social media. It's a lot of time making new graphics. And it's actually a lot of money. Like, I pay over £100 for a book brush subscription, which gives me the graphics that I need. I pay like £10 a month for Canva, which again is good for like making book covers and promotional posts. It's a lot of money and it's a lot of time. And I find that I feel most burnt out when I have to market. I think that people just don't respect how much work goes into it when you're an indie author. But even as like a small author of a publishing company, it's a lot, and you very rarely get the payoff that you deserve for it.
Yeah, that's one thing I have to give credit to TikTok. Because during the pandemic, when TikTok started, and especially like the book part of TikTok, they read a lot of indie. And because of it, a lot of indie books were picked up by big publishers like The Atlas Six or Guild by Raven Kennedy. And a lot of indie books are getting the recognition they deserve. It's not ideal still, but it's getting better because of Book Talk. And Book Twitter likes to be on that high horse, being like, oh, they don't really consume anything that has quality, which is often the case, but they also do a lot of good unless they pirate things.
Yeah.
And
there is that stigma, like that an indie author, an indie book is automatically of less quality than a published book, which isn't the case. Again, like a lot of indie authors still pay editors and things to check over the work, and there's just a lot of like hatred in general, but like especially towards indie authors, the assumption that we just don't know what we're doing. We could never get published, so we decided to do it ourselves. That's not the case. Yeah. Let's also talk about the fact that James Patterson tweeted something so fucking stupid. He tweeted,
Oh, that he's threatened by minorities and women,
yeah,
something along the lines. As a white man, that he's threatened
yeah,
now.
with how many books? Probably over 100 books published. Apparently, like this new call for minorities that publishers are doing, because a lot of agents and publishers these days are looking at people of color, fiction by women, things like that. Apparently, that's stealing from his work. That's taking readers away from his work, and taking his opportunities away as a white man, straight white man, which is just
Yes.
It's just I can't believe how comfortable men are in the privilege, because you kind of just expect that they're completely ignorant about it, but then you get men like him who are so adamant about keeping it that they won't let other people in. They don't care.
Which is also like extremely ironic because he has its own imprint, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's doing terribly with money.
No.
Because he's someone who's been publishing for years and has been big name for years.
Someone used the metaphor that it's not like pie. Like if someone else is taking like people of color or women's fiction, it's not taken away from your pie. It's not a slice out of your pie. It's from a different pie.
Yeah, I still see the meme. I believe I talked about it, where what men think of giving opportunities and really the equality to others is that they're sitting on a bench, and once the person sits there next to them, they fall automatically and start screaming that someone pushed them. It's not the case.
Yeah.
Nobody is taking anything from them. They just want to be included too.
And they haven't been for so long, so I can't imagine how you could possibly see that as a threat. It's just bizarre. It seems like the bestsellers who are really, really rich don't actually deserve it, and we're all just struggling to get by.
That being said, however, I have to give a little grateful plug to Uncle Rick Riordan, because he's really, I believe, the sort of blueprint on how to try, at least, because for decades now he's been very did his best to be inclusive, and as he learns, he changes his behavior. He started his own imprint a few years ago, and he started with books by marginalized authors, by the way, one of which will be turned into a movie or a TV show, I believe, because he started something, and he helping other people, especially because he's writing middle grade. So he's publishing other middle grade, and he's given a lot of recommendations of other middle grade books by other writers, mostly writers of minorities. And it's just, especially now with Percy Jackson being turned into a TV show by Disney, which was really surprising to me still, because for Annabeth, who was written as a white girl with blonde hair, they casted a black girl, and there was a lot of racism and a lot of bullying. They literally just bullied her off of TikTok. They managed to block it, and she had to start another one. It was really brutal. And she's 12, by the way, just FYI, or 13. And like, he and his wife, they're like really big deal on Twitter. They stood up for her very aggressively, very actively. And I was surprised by that, which is weird to say, but it's really, and that's the bare minimum from him, really.
Yeah. But there has been such a long time where nobody in that position of power has given the bare minimum. They just haven't bothered.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of problems around authors like Sarah J. Maas, for example. All the characters are straight, white, and if they're not white, then they're usually just used as props. And like, she's never addressed that.
Someone pointed out that she describes Illyrian soldiers, they have a bronze skin, and they're the barbarians.
Oh dear
I
Lord.
didn't. I read it. I know I read it. I
Yeah.
remember reading it, but it didn't hit me. Like,
Well, the thing is, like, bronze is such an ambiguous way that a lot of authors love to pretend
mm,
that they're putting in people of color, but they could just be a white man with a tan, a spicy white boy
mm,
like Taylor Lautner.
yeah.
Like,
Who I'm still don't like. I still don't believe he's white. Like, I've been brainwashed into thinking he's Native American, and I cannot move on with my life.
yeah. Speaking of
That's
which, like
just
Stephanie Meyer had the same problem.
yeah.
I mean, she featured like a Kuliet tribe, which is like Native American tribes in Twilight. I think she didn't pay them or something. She didn't pay them a lot.
Mm.
Or Taylor Lautner was white. He wasn't Native
That's
American. Like they,
there's like literally few years ago. I'm 23. Few years ago, I found out that he's white. This is what happened. How fucked up is that?
I know. I know.
I'm still in shock. I still have a lot of feelings about that.
And I think that Sarah J. Maas once posted something very Zionist as well, about
Oh,
Israel.
right. Yeah,
She,
because she did an article or interview about like traveling to Israel because I believe her
mm,
grandma is from there
yeah,
during a time where it wasn't really well, it's not still not like it was the war was at its peak where
yeah,
she put out the interview, which is like really just read the room.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's never good to do that because how
Yeah.
long have they been occupying Palestine now? But like, I think that was a time when everyone was really becoming quite educated about it, and there was no
Mm-hmm.
way that she could have posted that without people noticing that that's just fucking
Yeah.
wrong.
That's
Like,
yeah.
um, yeah, there are a lot of that's the thing, like there are a lot of problematic authors out there. I'm so sick of bronze skin
Mm-hmm.
in especially fantasy romance. I noticed it in do you know what? I really loved The Wicked Kingdom by Kerry Maniscalco, I think she's called.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking hell, all the princes look the same. They all look the
Yes.
same. They're all tall, dark, and handsome. And like that used to do it for me, but there's so many out there now that I don't care. Like you can already imagine the fan art because you've already seen it 5,000 times. And it's
Yes.
just exhausting. The same with from Blood and Ash, Hawk,
Mm-hmm.
like golden skin, brown hair, black hair. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
same man.
Yes.
It's the same. You're all right in the same men.
Yep.
Sculpted
Yep.
abs. Right a fat man, cowards. We deserve
Yes.
chubby men.
That's what was shocking to me with Chatterme because he's blonde and very
Oh yeah.
pale and also very short. Like because and I remember someone asking Tahara Muffy, who's the writer of the series, like, why didn't you make Warner tall? And because Juliet is very small, she's over 5 meters. So and she responded, Tahara responded with something like, because I don't want their next to her when they kiss or something very cute. So he's
Aww.
very small, which I was shocked by. Yeah.
One thing I will give Lee Bardugo is that she does have a varied range of appearances in her books
Yep.
for her love interest.
And I also feel like I'm not, I don't know if she does it correctly, probably not, but she really plays with the cultures and she really explored them a lot
yeah.
because in the Shadow and Bone world, there are a lot of cultures and different people of different colors, and with different backgrounds, and
Mm.
she it really enriches the story though. Like again, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if she's doing it correctly. I know even a lot of like the world is based on Russia, and even a lot of that is very she's using language that is very basic to Russian speakers from what I understood. So there it's nothing fantastical for them and it's really um
Mhm.
yeah, but it really really enriches the story.
Yeah. The only thing is the TV show really fucked up on that account because they had
Understandable.
like Jessie
Jessie
Maley
Maley.
is an Asian non-binary person, and in the first episode, she faces racism as Alina. And Alina wasn't Asian in the books, right? She, like, as far as we
No.
knew, she was white. She was blonde.
Yes. There was never, I believe she was brown hair and then she turned
Okay.
white hair at the end. But around that, because that was really like in the first episode they called her rice eater.
Yeah.
Like that was and I didn't catch it for the first time, only
Mhm.
like after like second or third watch.
Yeah.
Um
And that was
which
just
was
after 4 Asian girls in America were killed or murdered, victims of hate
mm,
crimes. It was a really, like, not good time to put that out. Not that there ever would be, but
yeah.
the fact it wasn't in the books and they added it in there, I don't know who made that
That's
choice.
I see a lot of like two sides of this argument, because even like Jessie Maley, I'm not sure if she was paid off to really say, yeah, I'm happy with that. They said they were like really like happy with the fact that Alina being Asian is also her background and like part of her and like her heritage.
It could have
But
been
like,
without the racism, though. It's a
yes,
fantasy
it could have been without a
universe.
hate. Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And there's the same argument with, like, Game of Thrones, which always irks me, like the fact that it's a fantasy universe and all it consists of is the rape of women. Like,
And
you
incest, like
incest, yeah.
incest and violence against women,
There
and
are
you have fucking
dragons.
dragons. You don't really have to, and there's a thing, like it's an argument from men mostly, like they want to reflect a reality. We
Mhm.
don't want that. That's our reality.
You
That's not
don't
yours
write
reality in
fantasy.
most of the case.
Yeah.
And it's fantasy.
Yeah.
Fucking on.
If the most creative you can get right in a fantasy is women are still oppressed, then it's not very good fantasy, and it's not for women. It's for men who enjoy the voyeurism of watching
Yeah.
assault and abuse and violence towards
Yeah.
women. That's what it is. It's for men.
And I had the same issue in Black Sails, which is a TV show about pirates, which
Hmm.
I really adore. It was very like dark and like they were dirty, and it wasn't anything glorified of piracy. But then there was a rape scene. One was really on camera, and the another one was shot after off camera, but you could hear her screaming.
Hmm.
And it made me turn off the show after I finished the second season, and I still hadn't really go back to it, because if you want to give something traumatic to women, there are other things to do that with rape.
We live with that fear every day. Like, the last thing we want is to come home and see it on the TV at night as well.
And I said it before and I'm saying it again, if you cannot think of anything else to develop a character to a way you want them to, then you should not be writing. Then you should not be creating, period. Like, there are so many ways to do it. And you keep choosing this one thing that we keep telling you is not correct.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still doing it. So like,
It even does it, like, in The Witcher. I've been playing that, and there's still, like, allusions to women being raped. The women in it are very, like, they're either old hags or they're hot and they've probably been, like, assaulted, or that they've suffered something, the victims. It's just tiring now. Women have
yeah.
more to the personality than if they've been assaulted by men. Like, there is so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah, you can just tell when it's been written by a man, because of course,
Yeah.
like, stories about violence and assault towards women are important for survivors, I suppose, if they're done right.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, men are just a bit obsessed with it, and it's not right. What's the tea, Ivy?
I have new tea about Don't Worry Darlings. Don't Worry Darling. What's its name? So Florence Pugh had an interview with some online magazine, which I forgot the name of. And she talked about the sex scene that her character has with Harry Styles' character, which is in trailer. And she said, when it's reduced to your sex scenes or to watch the most famous man in the world to go down on someone, it's not why we do it. It's not why I'm in this industry. Obviously, the nature of hiring the most famous pop star in the world, you're going to have conversation like that. That's just not what I'm going to be discussing, because this movie is bigger and better than that. And the people who made it are bigger and better than that.
Oof.
So basically what she said is, the movie is not like the sex scene, it's just there, but it's not the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia Wilde, however, who directed it, said the opposite. She said that, which, by the way, her quote has like a lot of things that I'm just like, what the fuck? She said, female pleasure, the best versions of it that you see nowadays are in queer films. What films is my question. Why are we more comfortable with female pleasure when it's two women on film? And heterosex scenes in film, the focus on men as the recipients of pleasure is almost ambiguous. I don't pronounce this word.
Ambiguous.
Yeah, probably. And then she continued to focus on the movie sex scenes during a chat with some during her interview. She really directly said opposite of what Florence said, and she said that this scene was integral to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just funny to me. Also, when Olivia was making the interview with, again, someone I think Verity, I cannot be for sure. They tried to reach out to Florence for a comment because they were doing profile on Olivia, and Florence declined.
I bet Florence regrets doing this film with every fiber of her being.
I bet too.
It is sad, like, because I guess it's not really Harry's fault that he is such a huge star, like, and he always has been, and he's always talked so openly about how, like, he is afraid that he'll only ever be reduced to fame, and unfortunately in the movie world that has happened because he's a musician who's gone into it. And look, he can't act. He's not the best actor in the world.
Someone said that setting him next to Florence Pugh was just a setup. And I can see it now. Like,
yeah. There was a lot of discourse as well about like how he directly aligns himself with the queer community, but then he comes out with stuff like about, I think he said something similar to what Olivia said about, like, you know, like queerness, and he makes it seem like queerness is just putting on a bright outfit and things like that. And I definitely agree with that. He doesn't have to come out himself, but if he's gonna keep aligning himself with that community, which he does because people take flags to the show, he helps people come out on stage, and he does a lot of really good things for that. He needs to start being more active in that role. I think like he owes it now at this point, because he does profit off queer people. He knows that when he chooses like a flamboyant outfit, or like goes for something gender neutral, he knows that he is attracting that audience, and he knows that that audience looks up to him, and it would be nice if he spoke up more for that. And what Olivia said about queer sexuality on film is fucking ridiculous, because first of all, we rarely see women getting it on film.
I can think of two things.
Yeah.
And I actively search for sapphic romances.
Yeah. And people are very uncomfortable with that. Why do you think it's not been produced that often? Like, if anything, people love to see two men, but they hate to see two women. I hate people who try to talk about queer issues without really researching without knowing what the fuck they're talking about. Is that all the tea?
It's for now. I had more, but I forgot it. So next time I shall be doing notes.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to another episode of Swords and Sapphics. Remember to support women's rights.
But most importantly, support women's wrongs, unless they're pirating books from authors.
Yes.
See you next time, and I'll see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile. And remember to support indie authors.
Yes, like Rachel, because she has amazing books, so go and read them all.
Please do.